This question always comes up. I mean, what's doing this? Is God involved? I just want to say straight out, and you may not agree with me, I don't think science can answer this question. I think that this is trans science. It's beyond science's ability to declare. In case you haven't noticed it, scientists don't have any God meters. We can't measure the presence or the absence of the absolute. And so I think this is an area where scientists could do a lot better job in minding their manners and stop declaring that God is or isn't involved in this. I think this is up to you, not scientists. So how does any of this stuff work? Well, people scratch their heads and ponder this. I happen, however, to know how it works, and I'm willing to share it with you. Here's how it works. Something unknown is doing we don't know what. This was a comment by a famous physicist, astronomer, Sir Arthur Eddington, early in the 1900s. I love this explanation. It always works for me. It's never failed me yet. Something unknown is doing we don't know what. A lot of people hang on to transmission theories, so-called, to explain how this stuff happens with the idea that there's some sort of subtle energy or subtle something going from A to B. I am not enthusiastic about this explanation. I don't think there's a shred of evidence so far that any transmission of any of the four known kinds of energy in science is transmitted. It has not been demonstrated. It's important to recognize that there are models within science that allow this to happen which do not require the transmission of anything. Boy, there are a lot of them. These are called theories that rely on quantum concepts such as non-locality and entanglement, so-called observation effects. And I think this is where the explanation for remote healing is going to turn out to lie. As an example, David Chalmers, consciousness is just fundamental in the universe. It's perhaps on a par with matter and energy. It's not produced by the brain, and it is not reducible to brain function. Henry Stapp is the godfather in the U.S. of quantum theory. The new physics presents prima facie evidence that our human thoughts are linked to nature by non-local connections. Now here it is. What a person chooses to do in one region seems immediately to affect what is true elsewhere in the universe. Our thoughts do something. Now, Professor Stapp is not endorsing remote healing. He has opened the door, however, for the remote operations of consciousness in the universe. This is an empirical fact. Where do we wind up if you want to buy into the possibility that spirituality can affect healing? Are there any limits? One way of phrasing this question is to just tackle the question of miracle cures. Is there any room in scientific medicine for miracles? Now, I have been told all of my professional life that good doctors don't believe any of this stuff. I mean, if you're a scientific doctor, you can't go here. That happens to be false. First, however, let's look at what a miracle is. If you look at the meaning of it in the Greek, it is, of the Latin, it comes from the verb mirare, and this just simply means to wonder or marvel at something. So if you were to see a clinical response that just made your jaw drop and made you wonder and marvel at it, this would qualify, according to the etymology of the word, as a miracle, being something simply that provokes awe or wonder. We trivialize miracles in our culture. You know, there's a miracle everything these days. So the question always comes up, do these so-called miracles violate the known laws of nature? Critics today say yes, which makes them impossible. Conversation's over. I think the smartest thing ever said about how these things should be viewed was said by St. Augustine in the 4th century. Miracles do not happen in contradiction to nature. It doesn't violate any law. Miracles happen only in contradiction to that which we know about nature. It may violate our ignorance, but if something happens in the natural world, presumably it has a natural place in the world. So back to whether or not physicians believe in this stuff. One of the best surveys on this took place 5 years ago, looking at over 1,000 doctors in all major subspecialties across the United States. 74% said that they believe that miracles did occur in the past. An equal number said that miracles still can occur today. And 55% said that they have seen results in their patients that they consider miraculous. It is a patent falsehood that most doctors don't believe in this stuff. It's exactly the opposite. How frequent are they? We don't know, but they're not as rare as most people have led us to believe. This is a book that should be in the library of every healing institution, I think. It looked at 3,500 cases of spontaneous healing in 800 medical journals around the world, trolling through 20 different languages. This is one of the best, most thorough surveys on the frequency of miracles I've ever seen. This is a great book. If you have any person who is down in the dumps about having a horrible disease and needs perking up, you might consider getting this book for them. It's called Remarkable Recovery. It's written for plain folks. One of the most marvelous things about this book is the foreword, which I wrote.